All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going way beyond the famous battles of the Mahabharata. We're not just rereading one of the world's greatest epics, we're trying to crack it. We're looking for a hidden logic, a kind of cosmic operating system that's secretly running the whole show.
Now, on the surface, the story seems pretty simple, right? We're all taught it's this classic tale of good versus evil. You've got the 5 Pandava brothers over here, they're the good guys, the righteous ones, and on the other side, you've got their 100 cousins, the Kauravas, the villains, who are all about deceit and cruelty. Seems like a pretty straightforward fight for a kingdom.
But what if that's just the cover story? What if the real rules of this world, the things that truly decide who wins and who loses, are actually buried in the details, hidden away in these smaller stories that reveal a much more complex and, honestly, a much more interesting truth?
Yeah, see, the Mahabharata isn't some simple morality play. When you really start looking closer, it's less about good guys versus bad guys and way more about this incredibly intricate, totally inescapable system of cause and effect.
This is the key. We're stepping into a universe that runs on an almost scientific logic. It's a place where nobody, and I mean nobody, is purely good or purely evil. Everyone is flawed. And every single action, no matter how tiny, has a consequence. Let's just say there are no free lunches in the world of the Mahabharata.
So, to see this code in action, let's start with maybe the most virtuous character in the entire epic. Seriously, if anyone could get away with bending the rules, you'd think it would be him.
This is Yuddhisthir. He is the eldest Pandava brother, the king of Dharma, which means righteousness itself. Now, his commitment to truth was so absolute, so pure, that it literally had physical power. His chariot didn't just roll on the ground like everyone else's. Nope, it floated, held up by the sheer force of his integrity.
But then, on the 15th day of the war, things are looking grim. A desperate plan is hatched to defeat the enemy General Drona, and the only way to do it is to break his spirit by telling him his son, Aswatthama, is dead. They need Yuddhisthir to tell the lie. So he compromises. He says the words, Aswatthama is dead, and then mutters, the elephant, under his breath. And the result? It's immediate. The very second that half-truth leaves his lips, his chariot, the symbol of his virtue, crashes to the ground with a thud. And the cosmic bill doesn't even stop there. He still has to pay for it with time in hell after he dies.
And that right there, that shows us something absolutely fundamental about this hidden code. The universe doesn't care about his good intentions. It doesn't care that he's been virtuous 99.9% of the time. The rule is absolute. A lie was told, a price was paid. Instantly. No escape.
Okay, so let's check out our next case. We'll look at the most celebrated warrior of the whole epic, the hero of heroes himself.
Let's talk about Arjuna. I mean, this is the guy, right? The poster boy for heroism. He's the world's greatest archer, friends with the gods, the star of the Bhagavad Gita. He seems completely invincible, a man who earned all his incredible power through pure talent and devotion. But did he really?
There's this one chilling line in the text that just completely reframes his entire story. It suggests that all his power, his fame, his success, none of it was really his. It was all just a loan from the universe, given to him for one very specific purpose: to win the war.
Just think about what that really means. All of his divine weapons, his crazy skills, even the divine protection he had in battle, they were all just temporary assets. Like any loan, the universe is eventually going to come knocking. The debt has to be paid back.
For 18 days, the entire length of the Kurukshetra war, Arjuna's chariot was basically a miracle on wheels. It got pounded by weapons that could literally shatter mountains, but it stayed perfectly intact. It was protected by this divine magic that, he probably just took for granted, thinking it was all about his own greatness. So, the war is finally over. The Pandavas have won, and Krishna tells Arjuna, okay, get down from the chariot. As soon as they walk away, the whole vehicle, its job now done, its divine loan now expired, just erupts into flames and turns to ash. The magic was simply switched off. The power was reclaimed. So this cosmic accounting system, it's not just about lies and borrowed power. It gets even more interesting when we look at gifts and blessings, because they often turn into these perfectly designed traps. Okay, check out the story of Jayadratha. He gets humiliated, so he goes and gets a boon. The power to defeat the Pandavas for just one day. He uses that power to trap and kill Arjuna's young son. But here's the twist. Jayadratha has another boon, this one from his dad, that says whoever makes his head fall to the ground will die instantly. Sounds foolproof, right?
But in this universe, every gift has a hidden loophole. So to get revenge, Arjuna shoots an arrow that cuts off Jayadratha's head, and then the arrow carries the head and drops it right into his meditating father's lap. The father, startled, stands up, the head falls, and his own protective boon kills him. It's a perfect, tragic trap, sprung by his own gift.
So you have Yuddhisthir's falling chariot, Arjuna's burning one, Jayadratha's booby-trapped blessings. These are so much more than just cool side stories. You're starting to see the pattern here, right?
They're the source code. This is how the universe of the Mahabharata actually works. They reveal these fundamental rules that are so much deeper than a simple story about good guys winning a war.
So let's just lay it out. What is this hidden code? First, every single action has an inescapable consequence. No exceptions. Think of Yuddhisthir. Second, great power, like Arjuna's, is almost never really yours. It's a loan, and the interest is steep. Third, this isn't a world of perfect heroes and villains. It's filled with complex, flawed people, just like Jayadratha. And finally, it all adds up to a universe run not by random chance, but by a strict, unblinking logic of cause and effect.
And you know, this whole philosophy is actually spelled out right there in the text. The advice is basically do your duty, your dharma, without getting hung up on the results, and then accept the consequences, no matter what they are. In a universe that's this logical, that's really the only sane way to live. You do your part, and you own the outcome.
When you see it this way, the whole epic just transforms. It stops being an ancient myth about gods and demons and becomes this incredibly sophisticated guide to the human condition. It's a blueprint for a world of tough choices and unavoidable consequences. And this code, it wasn't just written for them. It was written for us.
And that leaves us with one last big question. The Mahabharata is a masterclass in showing us the invisible strings that pull its characters around. So the real question is, what are the unseen consequences, the unpaid loans, and the hidden traps that are quietly shaping our lives? What's the hidden code of your story?